Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Chefs, today I have prepared for you two more Rivals concepts, once again with the theme of villains. More specifically, Thor villains, and this is totally not inspired by any recent addition to the game at all. Definitely not. What are you talking about? Anyway, the first villain we're doing today is Malekith the Accursed, a dark elf from Svartalfheim, and a great magic user. He is most recognizable by the black mark that covers half of his blue face, inflicted on him by his wizard mentor, for being a homicidal maniac. He also frequently wields the Casket of Ancient Winters, and the way I see it, it's like the fanon relationship between MCU Loki and the Tesseract. You know how Loki is kind of obsessed with getting and using the Tesseract every time he sees it in the films, and it's like he can't resist grabbing it? That's how I think Malekith is with the casket. Speaking of the MCU, do you know how long it took me to connect Comics Malekith to Dark World Malekith? Let me give you a timeline rundown. I definitely saw Malekith first in his episode in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. And since he only appeared once, I forgot his name, but I definitely would have recognized his iconic design. So by the time I watched Thor: The Dark World for the first time, I didn't realize they were the same character at all. Like, obviously they say his name in the movie, but the MCU design was so different from the iconic comic design that I was familiar with that I just never made the connection. Until like years later when I rewatched his episode in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. And even then, I was like, huh? Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm an expert on the character, but there's almost nothing about MCU Malekith that ties him to anything I know about his comics counterpart. He doesn't even get half his face messed up until, like, the second half of the movie. And Thor shoots him in the face on the wrong side.
Your Zuko costume's pretty good, but your scar's on the wrong side.
I rewatched it, by the way. I was trying to make sure I wasn't misremembering how much they changed about him. And I'm not even sure why they chose Malekith to be the villain. I mean, that being said, I actually think the designs for the Dark Elves in the movie do look kind of cool, like from an aesthetic standpoint. Anyways, I think Malekith is actually not a bad choice for an addition to the Rivals roster, since he has such a diverse set of abilities, especially if you include the Casket of Winters and the Wild Hunt. So, here he is, my design for Malekith in Marvel Rivals. The second character that I've chosen for today is actually two characters. Another villain that I was introduced to in Earth's Mightiest Heroes is Amora the Enchantress. When I started this design, I meant to have her as a standalone character, but in the show and the comics, Amora is often accompanied by the Executioner, aka Scourge. Amora is a sorceress villain, an enemy of Thor and the Avengers. She and Scourge were part of the original Masters of Evil led by Heinrich Zemo. Now, I love a female villain, so Amora was a natural choice for this video, Scourge being mostly an afterthought. I imagine in the game, he could be summoned with one of her abilities, like a mobile version of Moon Knight's Ankh, and it would also be cool if he essentially functioned as a shield for Enchantress. He could take any damage directed at her for the time that he is summoned. Compared to Malekith, she is arguably the more popular character, so I really can't believe that both Scourge and Malekith were adapted into the MCU before her. And I still don't consider her character a true adaptation. I remember when the Loki show was coming out and everyone, myself included, was convinced that Sylvie was going to be revealed as Amora the Enchantress. I guess the show was trying to imply that she was the MCU Enchantress because they named her Sylvie, which is the name of the second Enchantress in the comics, but then it turns out she's actually another Loki variant. I know the MCU likes to mix around and cherry-pick traits for their characters, but I don't think it worked for me in this specific situation. It probably didn't help that I didn't really end up liking the Sylvie character at all, so maybe I'm just biased. I swear I make myself annoyed every time I talk about the MCU in these videos, but I actually love the MCU, and it's a huge contributor in making me a Marvel fan, although you probably wouldn't know it from watching my videos. Okay, maybe it's because I enjoy it that I tend to be a bit more critical. As I hinted before, the inspiration to make this video for these characters came partially from the recent addition of Angela in the game. I actually did have plans to do a design for her in one of these videos, but since there's an official design now, the idea is less fun. But Angela did inspire me to try designing for some of these Thor-related characters. Anyway, I also wanted to say, for both the designs of Amora and Scourge, I tried to lean a little more into the Viking Norse aesthetic. Scourge was pretty simple. There are pictures of Viking warriors everywhere, and the color scheme is just a darker, desaturated version of his original comic design. For the Enchantress, I referenced the clothing that I found when searching Norse witches or seers, as well as adding a lot of different braids in her hair. Her design in the comics typically features those iconic boots with the circles design, which I did include, but also repeated in various areas of her other clothing, like her belt, skirt, and other accessories. Out of the 3 characters I drew today, Enchantress is definitely the most different from her comic counterpart, so I hope it's still good and y'all like it. So now let's take a look at the final renders for my designs of these 2, or technically 3, villains if they were in Marvel Rivals. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Instagram at KaylinVerse to see the rest of my work. You can also find my stuff for purchase on Redbubble and InPrint, so make sure you check those out. And thanks for watching. I will see you next time.